I want you to ask yourself, what are we seeing? Are we seeing civil unrest, insurrection? Are we seeing freedom of speech? Are we seeing, honestly, a controlled element of trying to destroy what Trump is trying to do and what the conservatives are trying to do and what America truly stands for? Now, why do I say that? First, we're going to talk about this attack on the church, how this is so much bigger than just this one attack on the church. It shows that the left is not getting, they're not going to stop doing what they're doing. They're going to keep pushing the limits. Are we looking at insurrection? Are we looking at true civil unrest? Yes, we are. It's not freedom of speech to go into a house of worship and spew garbage. That's exactly what happened in Minnesota. Now, we keep saying Minnesota, Minnesota, Minnesota. We say all these other leftist places. Why can we not just realize the problem with America is leftist ideology? Why do we keep saying that the woke ideology is not causing violence? Because it is. And then we have journalists covering up for it like Don Lemon. We're going to discuss that and what he said. Also, we're going to talk about how, here's the thing. We've got to start being bold as lions on the conservative side, on the Christian side, and on the side of freedom and liberty, because I believe that's what it's going to take. We saw activists literally getting dragged down the street yesterday with Nick Sorter's car and his camera getting stolen and dragged and pushed. We saw the fact that the threats on people like Dick Shirley. We saw Jake Lang, even though I don't support Jake Lang, him getting pulled and clothes ripped off of him. And now we see people going into a church. It's not stopping. You know, Bukele in El Salvador says, right, he said, you can't stop crime. You cannot stop crime unless you choose to arrest the criminal. It's that easy. Yet these people are still walking around. Also, we're going to discuss, with these unrests, we know they're paid agitators. We've talked about this. We've shown the funding, and yet nothing has been done. DOJ is not arresting them. But there's a leak that it could be our own government doing it on purpose. What does the intelligence and the CIA have to do with these riots? Why did you hear this whistleblower stating exactly who's paying for all this? Is Trump going to declare insurrection? Is Trump going to put more troops there? Sadly, the governor and the mayor should be arresting people, and they're choosing not to. Are we going to see more of this all over the country? I do believe so. If we don't stop Minnesota, it's coming to San Francisco, it's coming to Austin, it's coming to Chicago, it's coming to Miami, it's coming to Atlanta, it's coming to New Orleans, and several more if we're not careful. Let's talk about all this today. This video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here. Again, we're so humbled by you coming back and supporting us each and every day. Now, we're going to be discussing what Trump just stated about the church situation and how he's got his people on it. And do I believe that? In a way, I do, but to be honest with you, his people are FBI and DOJ, and they've let us down pretty bad lately. So, am I excited that he is putting forefront in this and how he's saying that Christianity is forefront? I love that. But it comes down to the church itself. It comes down to the people of God. Are we ready to be bold? Now, let's jump into this story first. So, if you haven't seen it, you can go. It's going viral. The leftist protest that is going on in Minneapolis, Minnesota, went into a church and, of course, caused major problems, erupted the church, and it's one of those things where this church was set up as a true Christian church. This is not one of those they said that was left-leaning. It was a true doctrinal Christian church. It's a shocking footage from City's Church in Minneapolis this morning, which is an SBC church, Southern Baptist Convention Church, where the anti-ICE mob stormed the service and disrupted their worship, alleging one of the church lead pastors is an ICE agent. Really caused a major problem. If you remember, the threats on their life is a big deal. And this guy went through and just caused havoc in the church. Now, this is right after Nick Sorter's camera was destroyed. This is right after Jake Lane's clothes were ripped off and he was allegedly stabbed. This is right after Nick Shirley had to hire security from Officer Tatum, and Officer Tatum give it to him because of the risk on his life. This is right after Elon said that you're not going to be able to stop fraud. You're not going to be able to stop the abuse. You're not going to be able to stop all this waste because it's just too deep. Now, we're getting closer to the line to where Christians and the religious right and true conservatism has to start being bold as lions. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean we're going to get back into the cowboy days, the old west, where, eye for an eye, and that everybody's got to stand for their own self? Well, sadly, I don't see any reason not to, because I'll be honest with you, if you're seeing me, I promise you I'm protecting myself and my family wherever we are. If that be at our church, or if that be in our town, if that be wherever it is. Because guess what? I don't know if I can trust anyone to take care of me. So these people in the church, here they are trying to worship God. And listen, here's the thing. Minneapolis, Minnesota, the mayor, the police, the board, the government, all of them are ran by socialist Democrats who is tied up in so much fraud. But here's the thing. They've told their people to stand down. There's a shortage of police already, but they're told their people to stand down. So if the people are standing down, no one's getting arrested, then you basically are sitting ducks in this church. See, here's the thing. I've told you before, you've got to get out of these cities. You've got to. But if you choose not to, you have to be bold. You have to stand up, because if not, they will take over you. It's getting more and more real, because it's getting more and more persecution brought against the people that are conservative and on the right, and of course as Christians. I mean, they entered a house of worship yesterday. Can you imagine that happening for any? Can you imagine them entering a Muslim house? Would you imagine them entering a Hindu temple? Would you imagine them entering anything? A synagogue? No. You know why? Because the truth is they're going for one thing, and that's the one true God, and that's Christianity. They're going to target that church. They're going to keep on targeting. Now, here's the sad thing. Don Lemon went in after and tried to speak to the preacher and speak to some of the congregants. And he did, of course, speak to them, but he was trying to say, well, this is their freedom to do this. They can walk right into your church, basically, and do whatever they want to do. And the preacher was like, look, all we wanted to do is worship our God. All we wanted to do is pray, and we're not going to stop. All we're going to do is go through our typical church service. And it was erupted on. Now, listen now, these people are not arrested. They caused harm. They caused disorderly conduct. They're stealing people's stuff. They're breaking into churches. They're doing things that mean arrest should take place. And yet, as of the time of me taping this video, the guy's walking around. Everyone knows who he is because he filmed himself and did a selfie of this and put it on social media. And yet, the guy has not been arrested. Now, Trump came out with a bigger announcement saying that he is not going to stand for this. You're not going to go into the house of worship. So he sends his people there. But to be honest with you, it's FBI rapid response and the DOJ officials. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not too confident in Patel and Bondi right now. Definitely Bondi. I mean, we can't even get charges brought up on the fraud that we've already exposed, that Nick Shirley and the Elon Musk and that some of the others have already exposed. We even have Democrats going that are journalists trying to get some of this exposure because they realize it's a story. But the mainstream narrative is, well, these people did nothing wrong going into the church. Don Lemon went out and stated that there's nothing wrong with them coming into the church and talking about the injustices of ICE and Trump. Do you see how easy it was for them to step right into a church and to cause problems? Now, if you remember back in December, Trump came out and stated that he wants our nation to turn back to God. He believes that Christmas is honoring Christ, and he believes that this is something that we should be doing, starting a revival, starting a reawakening period in America, turning back to God. Well, what happens? When we expose things, evil shows up. And evil is not just going to take it lying down. Do you believe that we can actually change this nation by having weak leaders in the Christian movement? You know, the church has lost its power. And I'm saying that as a Christian. We don't have the boldness anymore. We don't have leaders that are willing to stand up against them. We have people like Candace Owens that are standing against the church and standing against the Calvary Chapel, ministers like Jack Hibbs, who I like, and some of the others. But bottom line is we need more leaders willing to stand up and be bold. That's what I don't understand. We act like Jesus was not involved in politics. We act like the disciples were not involved in politics. The early church spent time in the governmental body, in the synagogue, and again in front of the Sanhedrin and Pharisees. They were willing to be bold as lions. Why are we not willing to be bold now? I think we've had it so good for so long that we've got complacent. And now we're not getting in place anymore because now the battle is coming into the doors of the church. Does Trump need to declare insurrection because of Jake Lang and because of the stealing and because the police are standing down, because ICE agents are there, and now they're going into church? Probably. But honestly, it shouldn't even get to this point because you should have officers and people of that area standing up. Now, remember, you people in Minnesota, you people in New York, you people in San Francisco, whatever it may be, whoever, you're paying property tax to pay for those cops and pay for safety and security in your town, right? As wasted as your money has been, the property tax goes to pay for those officers. You are their employer, and yet they're not protecting you. To me, that's a problem. And that civil unrest is going to keep on happening and getting worse. Now, here's where I really want to camp out. This is a story that was broken by independent journalists. I want you to listen to what was said by this person. This was shared by Bridget Fertig, but it said, CIA contractor admits they are the ones behind the violent protests, the rallies, the media, and the ones that protect them. When you see rioters assemble, it's not organic at all. They are paid to be evil, and they're paid by the elites, which we talked about. And it says, they're paid and their goal is to burn America to the ground, and now we're finally starting to see it happen. Now I want to go to what Elon Musk stated just a few days ago. He said, it should be revealing, it should break the internet, and it should open our eyes. Politicians are just the actors on stage. What you don't see is the screenwriters, directors, and producers that control them behind them, and now the veil is getting open, and you're starting to see the evil. He was talking about the paid protesters and how it's been paid for by the biggest players and elites, by our tax dollars given to given to NGOs, and it's used against us. So your property tax is not going to pay for your safety and for the police to protect you. All the money that they filtered is going to NGOs that's paying for these people to cause problems. And now we see that there could be some intelligence ties to CIA that's against Trump. You know, like I told you, some of the people in the government, because he didn't fire a lot and because he can't fire a lot of this bureaucratic class doesn't like him. So therefore, they may be using their own infrastructure against its leadership. That would be considered treason, correct? See, this is the kind of stuff that should be exposed and then arrested for. See, this is what upsets me so bad, is when we hear about this, like this guy that's a whistleblower talking about the CIA, and you hear about the intelligence, you hear about the NGOs, you hear about the fact that the police are not protecting us, and yet, because nothing gets done, it makes me even more furious. I start fuming. I'm surprised you're not seeing my face turn red right now, because I get angry. And see, there's where, as Christians, conservatives, as a typical white American that has a family that tends to be the one that everybody wants to poke fun at, the conservative white family, Christian family, especially if a male is in the home, are the ones that are getting targeted more than ever. And until we're willing to stand up and be bold, it's going to keep on happening, and one day we're going to look up and we're not going to have any rights anymore. They can infiltrate a church, they can infiltrate our country, they can infiltrate our homes, and yet, we see that it could be tied to our own government doing it. Not to Trump himself, but to the bureaucratic class that's trying to undermine him. What are we doing? Prime example of how we've lost when it comes to these liberal ideologies in these liberal areas. I want to bring up two more stories that should scare you, again, to death. This is in Newark, New Jersey. This lady stated, she said, I want to drive. I wanted to see it for myself. And of course, it went viral on TikTok. I'm going to show you a clip of what she's going to show. I'm going to show it to you on my phone. I want you to listen to what she says. She says, I went and wanted to see for myself that someone in Newark City Hall is flying a Islamic flag over the Capitol building. She says it's the flag of Shahada, Islamic declaration of faith. There is no God but Allah. It's flying over our Capitol. I want to show you this video.
I am currently driving through the city of Newark, which is how we say it out here, and going to the Devils game tonight. But I thought before I head there, I'm going to make a quick stop at City Hall and check out this Islamic flag. See how it goes. I'm currently in front of City Hall in Newark, and I had to come see the flag for myself. And it's real. They do have the Islamic flag raised on the corner. All right, so this is City Hall. We've got two American flags in front, and right here is where you see the Islam flag.
Now that flag is hanging right in the corner of City Hall. So we're being infiltrated, we're being overrun, we're being indoctrinated, and yet our DOJ and our leadership and our bureaucracy is not doing anything about it. That is a scary thought. Now, one more. I want you to listen to what Jack Dorsey said. Now, a lot of times people don't give him credit. He was the old Twitter owner and had a lot of censorship. But if you listen to Elon Musk, he actually says that Jack wasn't a lot of parts of that. It was the leadership team that he put there. Now listen to what he stated, because this is where it gets real scary. Because you heard me report about the CIA whistleblower. Listen to what Jack Dorsey said. Now, Jack Dorsey is a billionaire. And he's actually building a new tech platform to message without internet and without any kind of overwatch. So you're thinking, well, maybe this guy's not as crazy as we thought he was. But I want you to listen to this. Everything, this is a direct quote from him, everything you think you own is actually just on lease from the government. When they have a monopoly on violence and on control, because they can seize your property, they can control anything at any time. It's all theirs. Now, if you remember, a lot of the social platforms during the Biden administration were pretty much infiltrated by a lot of the intelligence, and they pretty much ruled over them, censored and all. What he's stating here, for the obvious, is we don't have control of anything. Everything is almost a psyop or propaganda, because the government wants to sway you one way or the other, and if you choose not to believe it, you choose to go against the machine, you will be controlled. Now, Jack Dorsey does come back to America, but Jack Dorsey's been living like in all these crazy African countries to try to stay away from, government in his life. You see a lot of big players starting to move out because of the dangers, not because of Trump, but because of this government is too big, and the bureaucrat class may be causing more problems than we know. Here's the thing. The more that exposing comes out, the more that we hear about the files, the more that we hear about the dangers of infiltration, the more we hear about NGOs, the more we hear about the waste of our tax dollars, the more we hear that liberal cities are standing down, the more we hear all this stuff, is the more evil that is getting exposed. The more evil that gets exposed, the more dangerous it is in America for the typical conservative family. And Christians, they're infiltrating your church now. What are you going to do about it? It's time to be bold. We have to realize that this is a spiritual battle. The left is too far gone, the right is getting close. And the bottom line is, we're losing the battle if we're not careful. It's not over, but it is looking very grim because we're shining light and exposing and nothing's taking place, which is going to make evil run amok. Please, please, be bold as lions. Be bold and be willing to stand for your faith and for your family. Because I believe you're going to see a time where we're going to have to do that. Sadly. And this is a person with 6 kids and now 1 dependent on some kind of medical coverage. It scares the mess out of me. So therefore, I have to lean on Christ even more. Guys, let me know your thoughts on today's video. God bless.